Sports Live. We are here to talk basketball today. None other than Josh Mork sitting with us. Josh, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Excited for tonight. It's been a roller coaster of a season, I'll say. Can you give us a little background on Josh Mork, quick?
Yeah. So I'm a 2020 Osceola grad. For those who don't know me, I played on the varsity team from 2018 through 2020. I went to college at UW-Whitewater. I played club basketball there, which is kind of in between intramural basketball and the varsity team for UW-Whitewater. Now, this season, I was an assistant coach for St. Croix Falls, which it gives me kind of a unique perspective from looking at Osceola from another team instead of being a fan. So,
Well, good. Substitute teacher, too.
yep.
Looking to get into the teaching game. It's good. So just to give you a little background on me with basketball, I know nothing. Honestly, I've never had a kid play basketball. I never played basketball. So my knowledge of basketball is next to nothing. I was telling Josh earlier, I know you start with 5. So Josh is here to give us all kinds of information on Chieftains basketball, what we've done, the kids on the varsity lineup, and where we're going. So let's just start off by tonight, who do we play and why?
So tonight we got a regional semifinal game against the Somerset Spartans, who Osceola, they're 2-0 against this year. They played them last Thursday at home in Osceola and beat them 60-47. And then they played them earlier in the year, about a month ago in Somerset, and beat them by 4, 58-54, I believe was the score. Somerset got here. They're the 7 seed. Osceola's the 2 seed. Somerset beat St. Croix. I'm a little salty about it, but it's okay. They beat us on Tuesday. So Somerset.
How bad? What was the score?
They beat us by 13 or so, I think.
And both teams were all healthy.
Yep, Somerset's got everybody. We had everybody healthy at St. Croix. Somerset's best player, Kane Donnelly. You'll get to know him tonight. He scores a lot. He put up, I think, 35 against us on Tuesday, somewhere around there. He's a pretty good scorer. He averages close to 28 a game, so he's one guy to look out for against Somerset tonight. But let's get a little overview of Osceola on the season before we get too in depth on the night. For those who haven't followed the Chieftains this year, it's been a bit of an up and down. They started the year 1-5, so that was all in 2024. So that was a rough start. There was only one conference game in there. They played Prescott at home and lost to them by 2, and then they beat St. Croix Central, so they had 2 conference games. But since the new year started, they have gone on quite a run. They only lost 3 games since the new year started. 14-3, I believe, is what they are in the new year. In that, they've had a couple big winning streaks of 4 and 5. So they definitely, something clicked over winter break, and they've come back and put a lot of wins together. The key players for Osceola, I mean, you have Hunter Bradway and Caleb Robrek, a pair of juniors averaging 17 points a game. They both score in different ways, but they're also kind of similar. Hunter's a lot of a jump shooter. He likes to get to his mid-range jump shots and shoot some threes. Caleb likes to do the same thing, but Caleb's more of an interior presence, and I think that's when he's at his best, is when he works inside out. Couple of seniors on the team, and Jonah Race and Jake Bench, who start. Jonah's their 3rd leading scorer, averaging close to 10 points a game. He likes to play really inside. He's a good post player. He's a good passer out of the post. I think that's something underrated about him. And then he's a pretty good rebounder as well. Where you look at Jake, Jake's a good shooter and just an all-around great player. Does a lot of things well. And then their 5th starter is Waylon Cole. He's their point guard. He's a great guy orchestrating the offense and doing that kind of stuff. I think he's a big glue guy and going to be an important guy for this playoff run. And then off the bench, you got 4 players that come off the bench and do a lot of things. And between Carter Morenzel, Aiden Anderson, Casey Williamson, and Marcus Gilbertson, they all are really good at playing their role, which something in high school I think is really important, is for players to understand what's needed out of them, right?
Right.
They can't can't go out and, you're not going to expect everybody to go out and score 17 a game like Hunter and Caleb. So, but between those 4 bench guys, they all understand they're out there to play some defense, hit some open shots, and just do a bunch of the little things right. And all 4 of them do it exceptionally well. And that's a good overview of the roster and the schedule. You have anything you want to join in or?
I know a couple of these kids. I know Jonah. He's over here quite a bit. Great kid. Takes a lot of pride in everything he does and works hard on the basketball court. Skipped football last year. I don't remember why, but I think it was to save himself for basketball. I know Caleb Earlbeck a little bit. A lot of this is through football. Waylon Cole, great kids. But the biggest thing I think with every name you mentioned is all these kids are really coachable, and that's huge. You get a kid out there that's not coachable, but he's extremely good. It takes the team aspect out of it, right?
100%.
Yeah, you don't want a one kid lineup.
No.
This is how many kids we got deep.
They run 9 consistently.
Yeah,
in varsity game, which that's pretty deep for a lot of schools, especially in this area, where you can have 9 guys you can consistently call upon on any given night. I think all 9 have recorded to start throughout the year. Sorry, everyone but Aiden Anderson has recorded to start throughout the year, but Aiden's played in all 23 games. So that just shows something that, obviously our coach Tyler Olson, who has done great things with this program. It's tough to put into words how everything's turned around since he became the head coach. But having that level of faith in every single person he plays, that says a lot.
When did Tyler become the coach?
Tyler became the coach the year after I graduated, which him and I have some disagreements there. But his first year, they won 5 or 6 games. They were okay. Then his second year, they went and they beat Prescott as an 8 seed in Prescott, which was an amazing game, really fun game to watch. And then his third year was the sectional final game with Braden Bradway leading that team, Aiden Steffen, Carson Holman, that whole senior squad, which is
wasn't
really
your
good
brother
team.
On that team?
Yeah, my brother was on that team. He
shout out to Graydon Mork.
Yep. And then they had another good year last year. They were conference champs, 3 years in a row conference champs, which is very impressive, especially for a school district who hadn't won a conference championship since 2001. That's a heck of a turnaround by Tyler, and I don't think he gets enough credit for what he's done with this program.
It's a great time for Osceola sports in general.
Yeah.
We got a lot of kids doing a lot of great things, and I've told Coach Gerber this with our wrestling stuff we do. It boils down to the coach. And it sounds like, I don't know Tyler personally. I've met him a couple times. He's coached Waylon and Wyatt, my boys, in different journeys through their football. And from what I remember of him, great guy. He's obviously somebody that really knows the kids and plays them to their strengths. And when you got depth like this in a roster, that's exactly what you got to do.
Exactly.
It's not a 5-man band out there.
No. And that's something that, I don't want to compare teams. That's a very tough thing to do, especially in high school basketball. But with a different Bradway leading the scoring in this team, I feel like the comparison needs to be had. That sectional final team with Braden Bradway, comparing to this team, they are 2 different teams. Where that sectional final team, Braden Bradway was the leading scorer, averaging over 20 a game. A lot of that team ran through his offense, which there's nothing wrong with doing that. They still had Carson Holman, who was a very good scorer, and Aiden Steffen running the show at point guard. They had a lot of scoring options there, but I feel like there's a lot of deferral to Braden Bradway on that team.
Right.
Which kind of led to their downfall in that West Salem game. But, again, great year from them. I don't want to take anything away from them. Where you look at this team, let's say Hunter Bradway has a bad night, you have guys like Caleb Earlbeck, like Jonah Race, and all these guys to kind of pick up that load. You have 2 very good scorers where one can have an off night and the other one can pick up the slack, per se.
Right.
Which is a different dynamic compared to that state or sectional semifinal team or sectional final team.
Yeah. One thing we are starting to do tonight, I got producer Bobby over there, and if you got questions for either me or Josh tonight, just whip them out, and Bobby will pipe up, and we'll get them answered. And I see one, it's LeBron or Jordan is the GOAT. I'm a Jordan man, There's no question about it. My top three, Jordan, I'm going to go with Kobe, and then I'm going to go with Scottie Pippen.
Scottie Pippen, okay.
Pippen. And LeBron ain't even in my conversation in top 10. It's a different game than it was back then. So that answers your question. Who do you got, Josh?
I am a Jordan guy myself. I don't know. I resonate more with the way Jordan played the game than LeBron played the game. And I'm not gonna go as far as Colin over here is, but I do still think that LeBron's number 2. It's hard to do what he does over the course of time he played. I mean, over 20 years playing the game at such a high level, it's hard to. I mean, you never see it. Yeah. But I do agree it's a completely different game.
It's a soft game now. He never managed to do any of this with the hardcore bad asses we had in Detroit back in the late 80s, early 90s. They would have destroyed LeBron.
I get the perspective.
Yeah. So, back to Osceola basketball. If we win tonight, what happens next?
So, if we win the night, they go to the regional final, which will be tomorrow. If Osceola wins, it will be a home game, and they would play the winner of Northwestern and Barron. That game's being played in Northwestern. Those two split on the year, so that's really a toss-up. Osceola has not played Northwestern this year, but they have played Barron at home, and Barron beat them, so that would be an interesting rematch if we were to get that if we were to get that tomorrow. But let's look a little more into tonight with that Somerset team. So tonight's game, it's going to be a big focus is going to be shutting down Kane Donnelly. He's a heck of a scorer. He plays a lot inside. He doesn't want to shoot many jump shots, but he's very good at getting his position inside. And I think Osceola will be okay. They have some bigger guys to throw on him, and they can throw a lot of bodies at him between Jonah, between Caleb, Hunter, even if they want to throw him on him. Like, there's plenty of bodies they can throw at him. Donnelly's really good at getting to the free throw line. That's where he gets a lot of his points, along with scoring inside, and he's really efficient. He's shooting over almost 70% from 2 on the year, which is a ridiculous number. Like, I couldn't believe it when I saw it when we were scouting him for Tuesday, that he was shooting that efficiently from inside. The first time they played him, they did do pretty well at shutting him down. He only had, I think it was 13, and he did not shoot the ball very efficiently. But the second time he had 25 and 14, and they still managed a way to win. The big thing with Somerset is the players around him, whether they get any role players to show up or not. He has a younger brother, Kellen. I think he's number 5. He's their second scoring option on offense, and then they have some shooters to go around with them. But if you can do your best to not let Kane beat them, I think they'll be okay tonight. As for what Osceola needs to do, they can just play their game. They're a really good defensive team, and that's kind of been the main quality from Tyler once he took over, is he prided on playing really, really good man-to-man defense, which I think this Chieftain team does. And that's a really, really good start. If they play defense like I know they can, if they can keep Somerset under, let's say, 55 points, I think they have a really good chance of winning, because that's a Somerset team that scores almost 70 a game.
30-some coming from one player.
Yeah, close to 30 coming from one player. So they get close to half their offensive production from one guy.
So I see what you're saying there. You shut down one guy or keep him contained just a little bit. Boom, let your guys go. Yep,
and then make it tough for their shooters to get open threes. That's a good game plan on defense. As for offense, I think you can play through the inside. We did get Donnelly to foul out on Tuesday, and I think that's a possibility for Osceola to do tonight, is if you kind of go at him a little bit and make him be physical and maybe use up some fouls and get him in foul trouble. Because the non-Kane Donnelly minutes for Somerset are not great. I think we outscored Somerset in like the 4 or 5 minutes he sat. That was probably more than that. It was probably 6 or 7. I think we outscored Somerset by 8 or so. But that just shows, I mean, they beat us by 13. So he's really good when he's on the floor. He affects all aspects of the game. He's a really good player. I mean, to me, he's in conversation for Conference Player of the Year between him and Carter Wallen, another fantastic athlete for Amory. But those two guys are very, very good.
Good.
Um,
So if we beat Somerset tonight, we got to turn around and play again tomorrow night.
Yep, you got to play again tomorrow night. So, I always hated this schedule. Why would you play Tuesday, wait till Friday, and then play Saturday? But the reason they do that is because there's girls' sectional final games yesterday. So they don't want to have schools doubled up on that Thursday, so they can't travel and go watch the girls play. Totally understandable. Now that I know that that's the reason why, I get why that's why they schedule it,
Right.
and you don't want to go too far into next week. So they play tomorrow, and if they win, they play tonight, and if they win, they play tomorrow against the winner of Northwestern and Barron.
And if we don't win,
If we don't win, then the season's over. I mean, it's win or go home at this point. If we don't win, then Somerset would go play either Barron and Barron or Northwestern and Northwestern. So it's a do or die. I mean, you have to show up now and the thing I love about high school basketball is you never know who's going to show up in big games. Like teenagers, they're so hard to predict, and you don't know how they're going to react to pressure. I could easily see a possibility where one of those 4 bench players that we mentioned earlier between Aiden Anderson, Carter Morensel, Marcus Gilbertson, or Casey Williamson, I could see a possibility where one of those guys has a big game tonight. And a big game doesn't mean they go out and score 15 or so, but it just means they hit a big shot at a big time or make a big play. And that aspect of high school I love because it lets these kids shine in some big moments where they don't get them very often. And these big moments, it could be one of their best players. Hunter could have a huge game, Caleb could have a huge game, but it's so unpredictable that's something I love about high school sports is you never know. It really is an any given night kind of atmosphere.
yep, I agree there. It's, once these kids learn they're capable, there's no stopping them, and that's even if they're in a slump. Boom, you never know. It's a good time for them.
Yeah, confidence in high school, like that's something that a lot of kids lack, and I think when some of these talented kids like find that confidence in themselves, all of a sudden you just see that like a meteoric rise.
Yeah,
and that's something like I strive personally as a coach to try to have kids like be super confident in themselves because they play their best when they are confident. And I hope all these kids tonight like go in, believe in themselves, and believe in they're going to make every shot. Like you're not going to make every shot, but you need to shoot every shot like you're planning on making it. You think it's going to go in every time you shoot it. And that mentality is it seems simple, like it really does, but it's not an easy thing to come by, especially at the high school level.
right. So just bear with me here. We beat Somerset tonight by 50. And then Barron beats Northwestern. We beat Barron by 50. Where do we go next?
So then we would play Thursday, 6 days from now. We would play the winner of the upper half of our region, which there's a couple games going on tonight. St. Croix Central plays Prescott, or Baldwin plays Prescott, and then it's Ellsworth playing Amory. So the winner of those 2 games will play each other tomorrow in their regional final, and then the winner of that will play the winner of our region. So in the scenario Osceola wins tonight and wins tomorrow, they would likely get Prescott. Prescott's the 1 seed in the upper half of the section.
Prescott's been a thorn in our side for a couple of years.
They've played a lot of games against each other in the last 3 years or so. I mean, they played a playoff game last year. They've played playoff games against each other the last 3 years. So they've played 11 games in a 4 season span, and that's a lot of basketball against one team. And that's a scenario that I hope the Osceola people want. I hope they want to get Prescott. That would be at a neutral site as well. I know a lot of people don't like going down and playing Prescott in Prescott's gym. It's a very tough place to play. Getting them in a neutral site would be huge, and that should be a scenario that Osceola fans want, because you want to beat the best teams on your way. If you were to go all the way, you want to play the best teams. You want to prove yourself and prove to yourself that you are the best team. You don't want to be playing cupcakes the whole way, and then when you finally run into a tough team, you don't know what to do.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah, well, that's good information. Mm-hmm. So, wrapping things up, now you know why I brought Josh on. He's a trove of information. I don't know Josh very well, but I'll share something with you. We went to a basketball game together and ended up riding in a car together not long ago, and the stuff that came out of his mouth, I learned so much just in the 2-hour car ride we had than I ever. And I'm like, when we do a basketball, I got to get Josh. So Tyler Olson, don't worry, I'm coming for you. But yeah, I wanted to sit down with Josh at some point, and I'm glad that we did. So tonight, you can watch the live stream on We Are Osceola. They have that on now. I did read online that there are some certain deals going on tonight where, because it's a WIA game, your season passes won't work. It's $6 at the door, no matter what, and you have to sit behind the students on your bench.
Yes, so for the playoff games, they actually enforce where you're going to sit. So usually when you go to the regular season games, you can sit wherever you want. What they're going to do tonight is they're going to draw that line right down the half-court line up both sides of the bleachers, and the Osceola fans are going to sit behind the Osceola bench, and the Somerset fans are going to sit behind the Somerset bench. That's what they like to do for playoff games because they don't want Osceola fans looking over Somerset's bench during a timeout and vice versa. So that's their reasoning behind that. How strictly enforced it's going to be, I'm not sure, but those are the rules that are supposed to be in place for playoff games.
Well, if we pack the gym, I don't know how much room there's going to be left.
So,
you know?
So if you want to sit where you want to sit, I would suggest to get there early.
Yeah.
I would envision that this gym's going to be fairly packed tonight, being Somerset so close. It's a conference game. It's a Friday night. I expect that gym to be very, very full tonight, and it should be a very fun environment.
I'm still trying to talk my producer Bobby into coming with.
Ooh, she should.
She should. Bobby, have you ever sat through a basketball game in high school?
No.
There it
No.
is. She's going. Graydon's coming. He'll be there. Yeah, so tonight's broadcast will be live on the We Are Osceola network. I believe Mike Fisk will be running that. And again, go ahead, get there early, support the Chieftains, pack the gym, because I believe these kids will make it through tonight. And I believe they will make it through tomorrow night. And let's help them out and get them there. They're both home games. And go Chiefs. Anything else you want to finish up with, Josh?
No, I think you hit it on the head. They're ready to go tonight, so hopefully we see a couple dubs in the next 2 days.
Yeah. Again, thanks for joining us. Have a good night.